They told us this day would never come, that China, the world's most powerful authoritarian economy, would never support crypto, that they'd crush it, ban it, erase it from existence, that decentralization and state power were incompatible, enemies by design. And for years, it looked like they were right. Mining bans, exchange shutdowns, media blackouts. China didn't just distance itself from crypto, it declared war on it. But now, something has changed. And it's not just a minor policy tweak. It's not symbolic. It's seismic. China just flipped. And the impact of that reversal is already rippling through global markets, finance ministries, and institutional war rooms. This is bigger than headlines, bigger than Bitcoin, bigger than any single coin. Because what China is doing now isn't about tech adoption. It's about strategic dominance. They're not embracing crypto to empower citizens.
Don't forget to support the video with a like, because it supports us a lot and helps us reach other people and help them learn important information.
They're doing it to position themselves at the center of the next financial world order. So if you hold XRP, HBAR, XDC, XLM, or even if you're just watching this space, you need to understand one thing. This isn't just a policy shift. This is the opening shot in the next global financial war. And the assets we've been talking about, the ones mocked, suppressed, ignored, are suddenly in the spotlight. Cross-border liquidity, XRP. Scalable enterprise infrastructure, HBAR. Trade finance tokenization, XDC. Inclusive payment systems, XLM. These aren't altcoins anymore. They're geopolitical tools. China's move isn't for retail. It's not about hype or speculation. It's about control of data, money, movement, power. And if you're paying attention right now, you're early. Because by the time this story reaches the front page of mainstream media, by the time the influencers change their tune, by the time the charts start going vertical, you could already be in position. You could already be rich. So lock in. Watch this video all the way through. Because what's coming isn't a bull run. It's a financial realignment. And those who understand it now before the herd will own the future. China's historic flip. What just happened? For years, China stood as crypto's greatest adversary. A global superpower, yes, but one that treated blockchain like a threat. It banned Bitcoin mining, outlawed trading platforms, wiped out billions from the market overnight. It wasn't a gray area. It was war. An iron curtain between the world's second-largest economy and the decentralized revolution. So when people said, China will never adopt crypto, it wasn't just fear. It was fact. Until now. Because something massive just changed. And it didn't happen in a Reddit thread or a Telegram leak. It happened inside government policy. Inside China's financial command center. China didn't just reverse its stance. It's laying the groundwork to lead. Let's break this down. The People's Bank of China has just signaled a new openness to blockchain innovation, specifically for cross-border settlements, trade, and digital financial instruments. State-backed institutions are now quietly partnering with distributed ledger platforms, not banning them but exploring integrations. Crypto holdings, once taboo, are now being discussed openly in regulatory circles. Not criminalized, but defined, categorized, normalized. And here's what makes this so explosive. They're not talking about memecoins. They're not looking at high-volatility gambling tokens. They're looking at structured, compliant, enterprise-grade networks, the kind built for governments, banks, and global infrastructure. They're looking at XRP, HBAR, XDC, XLM. Because in China's eyes, and make no mistake, in the eyes of every major economy watching this, blockchain is no longer a playground. It's a weapon. A tool for soft power, for digital sovereignty, for controlling how value flows across borders in a post-dollar world. Not adoption. Alignment. This isn't China saying, we love crypto. It's China saying, we want to control the pipes that the new world runs on. And if you've been paying attention, you already know where those pipes lead. XRP is being tested and deployed for real-time, low-cost cross-border transactions. XDC is directly plugged into trade finance infrastructure, the literal backbone of global commerce. HBAR is powering digital identity, carbon tracking, and enterprise-level data verification. XLM is creating seamless remittance pathways, perfect for underbanked populations and state-backed currency flows. These projects aren't hype. They were designed for exactly this geopolitical shift. And now, China is making its move. Why this is a global signal, not just a local policy. China isn't just another country. It's an indicator of where the rest of the non-Western world is heading. When China acts, others respond. BRICS nations will accelerate their moves away from SWIFT and the USD. Developing economies will look to plug into alternative systems that are faster, cheaper, and sovereign. Western regulators will feel the pressure to either compete or get left behind. And what will power that race? Not outdated banking rails, not legacy messaging systems, but tokenized assets on fast, scalable, programmable networks. Exactly the kind of networks we're talking about today. This isn't a guess. This is a trigger. We're not reading tea leaves. We're reading signals, public signals, regulatory shifts, government action. China just flipped the chessboard. And whether you like it or not, the game has changed. This isn't about whether HBAR, XDC, XRP, or XLM are good projects anymore. This is about which technologies the next era of global finance is choosing to build on. And guess what? They've already started. Why XRP, HBAR, XDC, and XLM are now in position. Now that China has opened the door, the world is watching. But here's what separates the smart from the stunned. While retail investors are just waking up to the idea of blockchain-based finance, governments, banks, and global institutions have already picked their weapons. And the names might surprise you, because they're not chasing the loudest coins. They're aligning with the ones that were built for this moment. Let's break it down coin by coin. XRP, the cross-border powerhouse. Ripple and XRP were made for exactly this. Forget the noise. Forget the lawsuit. Institutions never stopped building on it. XRP was created to solve one problem: cross-border liquidity. It's fast, cheap, instant, and it eliminates the need for pre-funded accounts. Now ask yourself, in a world where China is building its own digital currency and reshaping global trade routes, what tech do they need to move money instantly between continents? They need XRP. XRP is already ISO 20022 compliant, working with central banks, tested by financial giants from SBI to Santander, actively positioned for global remittance corridors. And China's shift means the West won't have the luxury of ignoring it much longer. Because if Ripple wins in Asia, the dominoes fall fast. XDC, the sleeping giant of trade finance. While everyone's distracted by meme coins and AI tokens, XDC has been quietly building the infrastructure for global trade. You know, the $19 trillion trade finance gap? Yeah, XDC is solving that. XDC is purpose-built for smart contracts, tokenization of trade documents, real-time invoice financing, institutional-grade compliance. It's already integrated into the Trade Finance Distribution Initiative, TFD, the International Chamber of Commerce, ICC, Digital Standards Initiative. Major projects in Dubai, India, and Southeast Asia. Guess who trades with all of them? China. So while most of the market has never heard of XDC, governments and trade platforms have. And they're not waiting around. When China expands its digital Silk Road, XDC could become the default rail for moving value across borders. HBAR, the institutional infrastructure. You want real tech, real scalability, real governance? Look at Hedera. HBAR isn't just a token. It's a governed network run by global titans: Google, IBM, LG, Boeing, Deutsche Telekom, Standard Bank. This isn't decentralization for the sake of chaos. This is enterprise-grade DLT with performance metrics that make Ethereum and Solana look like prototypes. BAR's network handles 10,000 plus transactions per second, finalizes in under 5 seconds, has carbon-negative credentials, uses fixed, predictable fees. Governments love it. Corporations trust it. And as the race to build digital ID systems, carbon markets, and CBDCs heats up, HBAR stands tall, compliant, scalable, and already operational. XLM, financial inclusion at global scale. Stellar's mission has always been clear: bank the unbanked. Provide open access to global finance through fast, cheap, borderless payments. It's not a flashy narrative, but it's a powerful one. And here's where China's shift makes XLM incredibly relevant. As countries build their own digital currencies, they still need interoperable bridges, especially for foreign workers, cross-border freelancers, underbanked populations, small businesses trading across regions. XLM can do that now. It's fast, simple, secure. It's already integrated with MoneyGram, Circle, and expanding in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. As China's digital yuan moves outward, XLM could easily become one of the neutral rails that connects to it without friction. Why these four? Why not Cardano? Why not Solana? Why not Bitcoin? Because these four coins, XRP, XDC, HBAR, and XLM, weren't built for hype. They were built for real-world integration. They check every box that governments care about: fast finality, low fees, regulatory alignment, enterprise-grade infrastructure, proven pilots and use cases. They're already inside the systems that will run tomorrow's economy. And with China making its move, those systems are getting a global upgrade. The wealth transfer has already started. Let's make one thing clear. You are living through the most important financial shift since the creation of the internet. And most people, they have no idea it's happening. Because while they're busy watching TikToks, waiting for the Fed to pivot, or chasing the next 100x meme coin, the infrastructure for a new global economy is being quietly installed. And the assets tied to that infrastructure, they're not guesses. They're already chosen by governments, banks, and multinational corporations. So if you're holding XRP, HBAR, XDC, or XLM, this isn't just about potential. It's about positioning. The tokenized economy is not a dream. It's a timeline. Here's what's coming next, and fast. CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, for faster, programmable fiat. Tokenized securities, stocks, bonds, even real estate. On-chain carbon markets. Digital identity systems tied to DLT. Global trade finance platforms that run 24/7. Cross-border remittances settled in seconds, not days. This isn't sci-fi. This is already happening in China, the UAE, India, South Korea, the EU, and Africa. And here's the kicker. Every one of those functions needs a fast, cheap, secure, and compliant blockchain or DLT. Enter XRP for liquidity and global remittances. HBAR for identity, ESG tracking, and enterprise-grade throughput. XDC for trade finance and institutional documentation. XLM for retail-friendly transactions and currency bridges. These aren't trends, they're technological solutions to trillion-dollar inefficiencies. And the money that used to sit in dusty old systems is flowing here fast. While the crowd sleeps, the transfer begins. Let's talk psychology. Why do most people miss wealth cycles? Because they wait for permission. They wait for headlines. They wait for the crowd to tell them it's safe. But the real wealth, the generational kind, is never made during hype. It's made during transition. And right now, the old system is collapsing under its own weight. Inflation, interest rate games, cross-border friction, failing fiat trust. Meanwhile, the new system is transparent, instant, borderless, smart. Guess where the value is going to flow? To the rails that support the future, not the ones clinging to the past. That's why Wall Street is quietly experimenting with tokenized bonds. Banks like HSBC and Standard Chartered are testing CBDCs. Countries like Nigeria and India are expanding blockchain use cases. And yes, even China, the same China that banned crypto, is flipping the switch. They're all betting on one thing, that the future of finance is digital, decentralized, and interoperable. And the ironic part? Most people will still miss it, because they'll say things like, "It's too early. Regulation isn't clear yet. I'll wait until the price confirms. By the time the news anchors start saying, XRP is the backbone of cross-border banking, by the time CNBC interviews Hedera's team about identity infrastructure, by the time influencers start talking about XDC and trade finance, it'll be too late to buy low. This wealth transfer is already in motion, not in theory, in practice. And the ones who win, they aren't the ones who wait. They're the ones who recognize the shift while it still feels invisible. So ask yourself, are you early or are you sleeping? Because if you're holding the coins we've been talking about, you're not gambling. You're front-running the future. XRP already deep in financial rails. HBAR leading enterprise adoption. XDC powering the backbone of global trade. XLM bridging real-world payments with digital speed. And with China's reversal, the acceleration has begun. The world is picking sides. And you're holding the keys to the rails the next economy will run on. The setup before the explosion. Every wealth cycle has a quiet moment. Not a crash, not a pump, just stillness, boredom, shrugs. It's the moment where the crowd gets tired, where headlines move on, and attention shifts back to the hype tokens and celebrity drama. But behind that silence, movers are positioning, contracts are being signed, infrastructure is being tested, and the future is being decided quietly. Right now, we are in that moment. This is the final accumulation zone. Look at the charts. Look at the narratives. Look at the social media energy. Nobody's talking about XDC. Nobody's screaming about HBAR. XRP fatigue is high. XLM? Most forgot it even exists. Perfect. Because the last thing smart money wants is for you to feel FOMO before they finish buying. We're seeing flat price action, consolidation patterns, low volatility on high-potential tokens. And this isn't a failure, this is priming. This is what a coiled spring looks like. This is compressed value waiting for a trigger. And when that trigger comes through a government announcement, a global partnership, or a sudden regulation shift, the explosion will be fast, aggressive, and irreversible. The world will wake up late. You know how this story goes. First, they ignore it. Then they laugh. Then they fight it. Then they rush to buy at 10x the price. By the time Forbes writes a headline about how HBAR quietly became the backbone of digital identity, by the time CNBC says XDC is powering global trade, by the time Ripple wins regulatory clarity and XRP is fully relisted everywhere, the real move will be long gone. That's how wealth cycles work. The believers accumulate when it's boring. The speculators chase when it's obvious. Right now, you're still early, but not for long. The fuse is lit. It's just not loud yet. All the signs are there. China's policy reversal, growing BRICS momentum, de-dollarization accelerating, blockchain infrastructure maturing, strategic alignment with real-world assets. We're not guessing. We're reading the board. And every piece on that board is moving toward one outcome, a full-scale shift from traditional finance to tokenized rails. The question is no longer if, it's when. And more importantly, will you be in position when it happens? Because when these tokens detonate, it won't be a rise. It'll be a repricing. Final warning before it hits. The fuse is lit. The pieces are in place. And the assets you hold, XRP, HBAR, XDC, XLM, are no longer underdogs. They're about to become infrastructure. This isn't a prediction. This is the final calm before the storm. If you're ready for what's coming, comment, "I'm positioned" below to let me know you see it too. Like, share, and subscribe, because the next time we talk about this, prices might never look this low again. This is it. Eyes open, bags packed. We move.